Well, it would appear as though Chris Pratt has done it again. The guy is just likable in terms of a movie action, semi action hero. I suppose you might. Would it be crazy to compare him to like a lot of the action stars of the late 80s and early 90s where Arnold Schwarzenegger or like Sylvester Stallone was good enough for like most people to just go enjoy whatever it was that they were in? I mean, I grew up on Delta Force, Missing in Action, all the Above the Law, Steven Seagal type movies, and like looking back, those movies didn't really hold up that great. Some of them did, but it was like, hey, I like Seagal, or I liked Chuck Norris, or I liked so I'd see Sidekick, or I liked Schwarzenegger, so I saw Kindergarten Cop, which by the way is an amazing movie that still totally holds up. Chris Pratt is quickly kind of setting to that level where like people just like the guy and they like the stuff that he's in, and the critics can't stand it. They've been having a meltdown since like the 4th of July, basically since last week, after Chris Pratt's new show called The Terminal List, which isn't on my watch list really, was number one over the weekend. Now, number one on Amazon. So what is it really competing against? But it was still number one. And the mainstream media is doing everything they can to bring Chris Pratt down, and they're failing. The Daily Beast freaks out over Terminal List, calls it an unhinged right-wing revenge fantasy. Here's Outkick. Critics say the new Chris Pratt Amazon series sucks. The audience says it's phenomenal. Spoiler, it's anti-woke. You see a lot of the comments. I binge-watched Saturday while I laid up with a bad back. I enjoyed it immensely. Just may watch it again. The Terminal List is so good that I put Stranger Things on hold to watch it. I thought it was great. A little hard to follow at first because there's a lot happening, but it makes you ask yourself if you saw the thing you think you saw. If it's something that brings it all to light in the end, great stuff. Currently watching it for the second time. Spoilers aside, I think it's better. I've learned not to trust Rotten Tomato. Critics hating it. Best endorsement possible. It's fair. I don't think that the show is anti-woke, based on the trailers and what I've seen of it. It's just a good old-fashioned, action show. And it doesn't have any identity politics. And, it's Chris Pratt. And no matter what he does, he's a Trump supporter in the minds of the mainstream media. So they just try to destroy his career, which it's completely ineffective. Even an absolutely objectively terrible Jurassic Park movie made a ton of money, or it grossed a lot. I don't know what it ended up at the box office, but certainly plenty of people saw it. People just like Chris Pratt, and they're okay to accept a bad movie here and there. Chris Pratt stars in The Terminal List, which is now streaming on Amazon Prime Video, and the Daily Beast is freaking out about the military thriller's politically incorrect plot, and villains going so far as to call it as an unhinged right-wing revenge fantasy. The streaming series is based on a Navy veteran, Jack Carr's novel of the same name. As I noted a few weeks ago, this is via Bonding in a Comics, by the way. If the series stays true to the novel, then certain people might not be happy about it. Based on early reviews, it looks like the series may indeed remain relatively faithful to the book. The best example so far is the June 29th review from the Daily Beast that proclaimed Chris Pratt's Terminal List is an unhinged right-wing revenge fantasy. Whenever you read a headline that amusingly frantic, you can only hope that what follows is filled with as much frantic panic. Thankfully, the review does not disappoint. The first line is a doozy and sets the tone. Quote, the Terminal List features Chris Pratt going vengefully ending people due in part to serious mental condition. And Amazon's latest, which follows the tradition of Jack Ryan and Jack Reacher by delivering gung-ho macho action trailer made for 40-somethings Call of Duty players. What's wrong with that? Last time I checked, Call of Duty is like one of the most popular games in the world, and easily one of the most popular games of all time. So I'm not sure that that's quite the own that you thought it was. I suppose maybe it's some sort of own. I don't think so. The next line that finishes out the opening paragraph is just as good. Still, if this adaptation of Jack Carr's novel mostly fits into its particular dad entertainment streaming niche, to a large extent comes off as a wet dream for militia-minded anti-establishment kooks replete with Chris Pratt performance of the Navy SEAL who responds to injustice by ending the guilty with extreme prejudice. Love it. It actually sounds awesome. Look at all those buzzwords and phrases: macho, 40-something, Call of Duty players, and dad entertainment. Of course, the best one of all, wet dream for militia-minded anti-establishment kooks. This is the Daily Beast at its very best / worst. It's possible to pick out something hysterical in nearly every paragraph, but the last one contains one of the best gems. The Terminal List's decision to post Reese's reign of terror as virtuous is ultimately its defining characteristic, affording a window onto conservative American mindset that views the government as inherently corrupt. It is. And anti-soldier. It sure feels that way. And lone wolf military men as the only figures capable of making the world a more honorable place. What would this person have said, just like hypothetically? What do you think this person would have said about, like, Rambo? You know what I mean? Like a Rambo movie. Or like Raw Deal or Commando. Like, would they have been, like, they're literally having a meltdown in text form over a movie that nobody forced them to watch. Sure, they're a reviewer and they're just doing their job all right. But, you know, there's something to be said for, like, you know, there's something to be said for, you know, this guy, Chris Pratt, is just getting too much hate. Every time something else succeeds, like you could see this other article, Morally Sick Twitter users mock and call Chris Pratt phobic following the release of Thor: Love and Thunder. Why? For reasons. Twitter's just decided this thing about Chris Pratt. You know, they hate him. They think he's phobic. They think he's like the worst thing that's ever happened. And he's just, nobody around him says that about him. Nobody. And of course, when we look at, you know, Outkick's article, you know, I do caution people. I don't like this whole, like, pay money to the right or the right causes to own the left. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. I think I don't like doing that. That's why Coffee Brand Coffee is Coffee Brand Coffee and not Kofifi or Liberal Tears Blend. I don't want that. I don't think that, you know, I think it's just as pandery when you do it, you know, on quote unquote your side of things, or, you know, our side. But, you know, that's just, you know, my one man's opinion. I'm just saying, ultimately, I think you set yourself up for failure if you're just consuming stuff because it owns your haters. But you can see this one: critics hate the new Chris Pratt anti-woke Amazon series. Viewers love it. Season 1 of the Amazon series The Terminal List, Chris Pratt holds a 37% approval rating from critics on the aggregator Rotten Tomatoes. TV and film writers can't believe a series would dare debut in 2022 without the proper political messaging. The Daily Beast labeled it an unhinged right-wing revenge fantasy. Variety says the series is a dour, miserable sit, one that will be tough to take as a 2-hour film, and inexplicably roided up to 8 hours. The show sucks, the critics say. Meanwhile, the viewers say it's a must-see. The audience gives the show a 93% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, creating a 56% divide between the critics and viewers. Audience reviewers question the critics' panning of the film. Chris Pratt is excellent. This is a really different character for him, and he plays it so well, one reviewer said. I don't get why the critics don't rate this highly. Is it because he's conservative and or Christian? The rating is complete mystery to me, because this is better than the Jack Ryan series, and I love that one too. Film writers gave the Daily Wire film shut-in score of 56%, but 95% of viewers said the film was excellent. Critics judge a show based on if the script includes 2 men kissing or 2 women kissing, so not so subtle shots at white supremacy. On the other hand, viewers rate shows based on the action and quality. And you could see Chris Pratt basically putting out, The Terminal List is #1 series on Prime Video. Well, that's 2 years in a row that the 4th of July weekend belongs to Amazon Prime Video. Last year it was The Tomorrow War. This year it's The Terminal List. I'm so grateful for my relationship and everyone at Amazon. Thank you for letting us make the show we wanted to make. Thanks to help us get there. If you haven't seen Terminal List yet, check it out. Chris Pratt owns July 4th. Critics don't like July 4th either. Trust the viewers, not the critics. You can see Chris Pratt sends a message to fans and Amazon if The Terminal List soars to #1. I mean, you know, one of the comments on social media account for the Terminalist wrote, Chris Pratt owns a 4th of July. The series is about a former Navy SEAL. On Rotten Tomatoes, critics panned it, giving a 37%. The character development story, excellent, one fan wrote. You know, I guess, like, if it's not a Marvel movie, and, you know, quite honestly, the critics are kind of turning on Marvel movies, to be honest, too. But it's because they don't like Chris Pratt. I'm not saying that The Terminalist is a 10 out of 10 must watch. I haven't seen it yet. I do plan on watching it, though. You know, my wife isn't one for action movies or action series, so it's like I'll have to find time to watch it when she's not around, which is even, you know, more difficult, but it's on my watch list. The fact that Chris is rubbing it in the critics' faces, which is what I think this is even a more subtle W for Chris Pratt. So congratulations to him. Despite all the weight of mainstream media trying to bring him down, he just continues to succeed, and you just love to see it. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.